you, God. I think there's something I need to do all the time. Um, First of all, I just want to say thank you, God. I think there's something I need to do all the time because I need to thank God that I didn't have to live a life of what I'm hearing. These perps contracted by the these governmental entities in regard of the intelligence community, the humiliation they have to endure while doing these things to us target individual is things that you can only imagine in a biblical ways. And I understand why as target individual we start seeing each other like as the chosen one in the sense of we find ourselves so dignified that we start thinking that we're God's favorites in a sense. Now, this is very biblical, but the reason why I'm saying that is because the things that you get to hear and you see how people stoop to a level of damn near childlike mentality and humiliating ways. Because what they try to do, they try to gaslight you to accepting these retardations, these ways of wanting you to think. But the humiliation of reality is what they try to escape. But they have to deal with the reality. And regardless of how child like they have to make themselves be, I'm not even going to let them escape. I just heard when you're a target individual, you have perps. Those are the civilians, the government contract, like I keep saying. And we are target individual human subjects. So what happened is our body, our brain are used to develop a technology, a weapon, and they use us as guinea pigs, basically. They do so much things to us. Right? They destroy our body, they destroy our mind. Sometimes they destroy our body and repair the body and then destroy them. Like we are so much of guinea pigs, so we're human subject. And we are not only adult men and women, but also children. They do these things they do to us, to even the most vulnerable. Infants are involved in this program. These people are truly trash. But when they try to create this PSYOP, when they try to believe this false reality, and they want you to escape from this, what I just said, that obviously we are human subjects. We are guinea pigs to this program. When they try to present themselves this fantasy of what they wanted to be looked at, the facade, and the way they even talk, and the way they try to interact, even the way they try to make you think in these illogical ways, they are humiliated in a way that is just magical. Right now, I'm just hearing somebody say, we matched. And I'm not even just trying to mimic, just to insult that person, but that's how this person is trying to make themselves sound when interacting with me via V2K. What they're trying to say is, today my responses, the way I'm responding to in these disgusting ways, is a way I felt when I was a child. They're making me think the way me as a child would think. And so today, I'm an adult man experiencing reaction that I experienced as a child. Right? Now, this is their logical, rational way of trying to make me accept these things. Okay. This is them. And they say that with a way, like, just like, oh, we match. Because they try to use this. They try to sound a certain ways that I guess makes that sound more, I don't know, what's the word to that? That is a mistake and just like, it makes sense when I speak like that. But I've proven the obviousness of the disturbingness and the sadness about what they're trying to do. Because you've heard what they do. Now, obviously, that makes no sense. I'm not a child. And even when I was a child, I wasn't thinking like that. 2 seconds ago, I saw babies all the way. When they have, especially when it's little girls, they do the stimulation. But sometimes even babies and everything, simulations. That's like even when I was a baby, when I was a kid, that they mapped it to. I wasn't responding to that. They're changing my memories of my childhood to experience that. But do you understand how stupid you have to be? Now, in a couple videos, you're going to hear a few things. You hear these people talking, we dared. We mapped it. Now, it's obvious that these perps interacting with me are just contracted by governmental entities, which at this point, it's been humiliating to find out that a lot of this, there's a big problem, a significant amount of people working at these agencies, even NSA, DARPA, where there's problem with pedophilia, child porn they keep finding them on government devices that they are provided to these entities. There's a lot of pedophiles in these agencies. It's truly a problem. There's truly a problem. It's obviously there's a problem with pedophiles in these agencies. Now, that's already that's the higher level, right? That's like the first layer to know that these people are so humiliated by reality. This is who they work for. This comes out while they want me to be like, no, what we're doing, we're mapping. It's us. It's you when you were a kid. We matched it. And they do this noise campaign. And I'm listening to this obviousness that there's truly a problem in these agencies. I don't think this next door trash is the one responsible for what's happening to me. Just like you're gonna hear that I know the governmental entities are running this program. And when they say black girl and they force me to get stimulation, I know this is coming from people who are working for entities, agencies, where you're gonna hear that even in 2007, 2010, they already there was this Operation Flicker. You're gonna hear. It had nothing to do with Pentagon, nothing to do with DOD, nothing to do. It ended up finding out this was a huge investigation about this child porn website that they thought somebody from outside the country was running, and some of the people buying this nastiness were coming from this country. So the immigration, the Homeland Security, they were the one investigating that. What they end up finding out? There's a bunch of DOD people. The 5,000 suspected. 5,000 suspected of doing child porn, which in some cases had to pay as much as $50 for subscriptions. That is the humiliation. That's 2010. Again, in the 2010s, this man is shocked by the amount of child porn he sees when examining the computers of these people contracting this trash next door. Finding a bunch of child porn on their computers. Again, in 2021, finally, after BuzzFeed is requesting information about what's going on in this agency, they waited 10 years and finally some information came up. Of course, it's old stuff because they don't want to bring up new stuff. To get information about today, they will get 10 years. They have to wait 10 years again to get this information. They will not give you information from today. This is the intelligence community. We'll find out what's happening today in 10 years. But what they found out is they were CIA agent doing things to 2-year-olds, 6 years old. There was so much nastiness. Downloading child porn by thousands. Once again, the same stories heard in different fashions. Showing a pattern of pedophilia in these agencies. A true pattern. You're going to hear that yourself. It's worse than what I thought, because when you read somebody like Danielle Payne, what you're going to hear. This man, his sole job was to examine and making sure the security of, he was the director of the DSS, the Defense Security Services. You know what they do? They make sure that there's no breach and there's not even breach. There's no a mole coming in and try to steal information about the weapons and things like that. They try to make sure that, everything is secured. The precious information, the sensitive information is secured from somebody coming in and compromising that. Instead, what they found out is when they just examined their computers, there's a bunch of child porn. He is shocked by the amount of child porn. He literally say the amount of child porn he sees on these things is unbelievable. That's still the top layer. Now, specific to this program as human subjects, one of the symptoms, one of the things they tend to do, there was this man called Robert Duncan, he's still alive, I believe. He said he interviewed 1,000 target individuals. Target individuals are who we are. We are human subjects, and governmental entities are using us to improve this technology. Out of 1,000, 1,000 target individuals. They don't know each other. He just interview each. This is one common thing they all say. One very common thing. A majority of them are saying one thing. They all, almost all, not all, almost all are saying that to disturb me, they do these things where they implant child porn in my mind. Doesn't end there. There's of course more than that. Then you hear this woman. The reason why I bring her up a lot is because her testimonial is probably the most watched, and because it's the best. The way she's expressing herself is so well done. She's able to articulate. I think out of all target individuals, she has the best way to articulate herself, what's happening to her. She says, as she says, goes through all the things that happens to her, that sometimes what they do, they make her smell baby powder. And when she smells baby powder, because baby powder equates to babies, they do this thing where she calls it pedophilia type of torture. Doesn't end there. This woman, this trans woman who is no longer with us, she died, may she rest in peace, her name is Jackie, says that around her, there's a bunch of people, they try to change who she is, making her change the way she thinks, and implanting this and before she finishes her words, you're going to hear. She's like, I'm not going to say that word, but disgusting things. You can clearly see that she wants to say pedophilia. Thoughts are implanted in her mind. And she's like, I don't know how they do this. I don't know if this are neighbors or people around me doing this, but they doing this thing, this disgusting stuff. Doesn't end here. That same woman who's talking about pedophilia type of torture talks about how this woman, she's a woman who is a teacher, a speech pathologist. That really is. She works on the speech and language of young children. She works with young children, as young as 3 years old. One who's 7 years old with autism was tortured to torture her. She was witnessing this child being tortured remotely, where she was screaming, crying for no reason. She didn't understand. Like she was like, she sounded like she's in pain, screaming and crying. Then she started like, they were forcing her to bite herself because they can control you in this way. It's crazy. They maybe bite myself sometime every once in a while, but it's not to the point where I accidentally bite my tongue or bite my cheek. Like, it's just crazy. But it was severely beaten. She bit herself, like, seriously. But it doesn't stop there. Some of the torture is sexual. She sees this 7-year-old, you hear why they control my speech, grabbing herself, grabbing her crotch and saying ouch, because they are targeting her private areas and making her feel pain. She's 7 years old. Now, what they do to a 4-year-old, that she also teaches 2 sisters, one who's 4, one who's 5. They both have Down syndrome. Those kids, those babies were tortured, even sexually, where they did the same thing that the 7-year-old autistic did when it comes to targeting the sexual part and hurting these kids in these ways. Doesn't end there. She continues, and you're going to hear that after that. She continues and addressing that there's a 3-year-old that she teaches. He's doing the same thing. He's grabbing himself and say, ouch. Okay. That's another target individual here. Another is a family, 5 kids. The family says, there was a 3-week-old baby. They were torturing this 3-year-old baby. 3 weeks old. They were torturing this baby. The poor baby who's only 3 weeks old. They thought she was gonna die. They do these things, right, where they make you sick and then kind of stop that. They treat what they create. Three-week-old, torturing a 3-week-old baby. They all have multiple kids. They're blinding a 9-year-old. The things they do, blind. Let me repeat that because they have this like noise campaign they were trying to counter, and they're trying to do something in my tongue. A 9-year-old was being blinded by them. Now, it goes on and on. You can hear this woman called Kathleen Nestor going in front of this bioethic committee that was created by Obama. The first one I think was in 2011. She goes in front of that panel, these people, and she says, "Listen, this is happening to me. Me and my young child have been abused using this technology. Psychological and physical damage has affected us. They do these things to us. We both are being damaged and tortured by this." The list goes on. Now, these perps want me to look at them as this, we're intolerable. We're not going to tolerate that. And what they're talking about is talking about me in middle school and this damn thing I did to myself as a child. And it's like, even though you're a child, we're not going to tolerate that. Now, you just heard what I just said, and you understand that obviously they're saying that because they want you to think that these people are avenging and protecting the community, our children, our girls. When in reality, these people are more dangerous than you'll ever be to babies, to children all around the world, which is why on TID I talk about that. They are destroying, as I'm saying that, my lips are dry and I'm trying to, they have really rewired me to feel uncomfortable about everything. And so I'm like, thank you, God, that my life was not the life that these people do, because they know at this point it's just a matter of time. If I was then, would be like, man, oh my gosh, whatever's going to happen to me, scared. I lived a cowardly life where I was involved in a program that does these horrible things, and is doing that today. In every way, it seems like I've been told by some kind of entity that shows that I am so foul that now this man is almost a saint. I am in a program that does the most disturbing things to even children that are babies. I am manipulating people to think in these disturbing ways. The entities contracting me are filled with pedophiles. I'm getting my money from there. I'm getting some resources from there. I'm getting incentivized by people like them. And all I have to say is talk about him as a child. I talk about his dumbass, stupid thing he did as a child, and be like, I'm not tolerable. This abuse. When I am in a program that literally damaged children that are as young as 3 years old, 3-week-old, and 3-year-old babies, kids are sexually tortured by our technology that we are working to develop. I'm part of the same program that tortured children. I am involved in the same exact program. Our task is the same task that this kid that was being tortured sexually is, what is happening to him is coming from what we do. We are involved in this. Some of these people involved in my torture have tortured women. I don't know how many of them have tortured children, but for sure women, they even mock them when I see picture of them burned, the pictures of the burned face. They have done so much horrible things. They are involved in a program where they're so intolerable that even babies are being tortured. And the PSYOP that I'm hearing is coming from childlike people that think that their childlike ways of interacting with me should make me think of this being something different, anything by a large government running this program. A mass shooting just happened on October 26th, I believe, or 25th. The largest mass shooting of the year, the 10th ever in this country, killing 18 people. You're gonna hear what happened. 18 people died. The man that ended up killing 18 people, just like the man who ended up killing 12 people, was being forced to hear things, and he was disturbed by what was being told about him, or they were saying to him. Guess what? They were calling him a pedophile. This man reacted a way that I don't think we should react, but he reacted this way out of anger and rage, and did not want to leave. But before he killed himself, he decided to kill 18 people. And just like the mass shooting that happened in the Navy Yards, I think in 2014, multiple people died. He killed a lot of people, 18. The reason why he was able to kill so many people is because this person knew how to shoot guns in a very efficient way. So 18 people died like that. And guess what? These intolerable people are the reason why he killed 18 people. These perps were the ones saying these things, doing these things. Now, the way these perps are trying to create these fantasies, like, I personally didn't do that. They want me to somehow believe that they could do this thing to me on their own. Like, these people are the reason why this is happening to me. My friend, you could do nothing to me, especially none of that you're doing to me. You won't be able to match me, if you're not in a program that does these things. Because these people who end up killing were being mapped. The kids that are being tortured were being mapped. Those women that are being tortured are being mapped. My point is, they want me to look at them as if there's their man is there, but no, you are just contracted to do these things. I truly see you for the nothingness that you are, the bottom feeder that you are. And now the way they try to escape from reality, we're gonna torture you. It's like, yes, you who torture babies will torture me. And you know how badass they want to be? They want to be so fierce that they want to implant child porn in my brain, and not in my brain, but in my computer, my devices, and be like, we're dared. Did you just hear the amount of darers that are in these agencies? Daring to download child porn, even government devices? That's the kind of darer they are. They are the same type of darers that would dare to not only torture children, but dare to download child porn on their government devices. But for me, they also try to create this psyop of feminism. There's a lot of women being tortured, raped. How does he know? How does he know that a lot of women are being tortured sexually? Perhaps because they are speaking about what's happening to them. I'd rather get cut up in pieces, because what they try to do is to compensate for the fact that all of this is obvious, that they are this trash low life, that they think that torturing me in whatever extreme way is going to change the reality of what they're part of. These intolerable people. Matter of fact, when I see them, it takes a lot sometimes to just relax and just not release any aggression toward people who are not involved in a program that torture children sexually, for working for entities that have a bunch of pedophiles, and want me to be like, no, we're just mad about, oh, it's so intolerable for what you did as a kid. Guess what? I'm very intolerable about what you do to kids. I'm very intolerable about how you torture women. I'm very intolerable what you've caused these people to do. I'm very intolerable the way you condition and manipulate people. You're matching. For me, whatever's going to happen to me, I just thank God that I was not this bottom feeder. They tell me how they're gonna implant child porn. There's this trash. I don't know if it's true, but that's how they make me connect things. So I don't know if it's true. It could be just this. They can create some false correlations. They say something about war is Sarah porn. Some nastiness. I don't know what it is. But the way they make me connect is they're gonna implant child porn with like a baby in it. That's so disgusting. Right? And they make me think, remember, they have manipulated my memories because this dumb thing I did as a kid is something that happened once. It was an impulsive moment of a kid. And as impossible as it was, that's why it was so obvious it's impossible, because it never happened again, when it could have happened multiple times if it was something that was truly a pattern, but it didn't. So this trash that disorients reality, that distort reality and live in false reality and create that their reality and call that their reality, are trying to make me experience when I'm just literally, you'll see a picture. 2 months after this picture of me, you will see in the face, you see a face of like a very young person, a kid. Maybe 2-3 months after this picture was taken, I was living with this family, and they had this little 2-year-old or something, this baby, 2-3-year-old, and her name is Sarah. And I remember she was super adorable, and I started kissing her cheek. Oh, you're so sweet. And she's like, I'm 13 years old. You know what they try to do? They make me experience stimulations in this childhood memories. And they're like, what they are. When they torture babies as young as her, this little baby, and they try to manipulate the memory of a child who at that point, not even teenage, is just hit teenagehood. And they open doors like they are, and they go, this fucking trash. They think I'm going to ever let them live their fantasy. Well, these people who are mapping me work for pedophiles and this bunch of pedos. Maybe that's why they need some homework. They need to research. And some pedophiles know how to target individual. I will never, ever let perps who are involved in this disturbing thing they're part of live a deluded reality where all this obviousness is like all the sign. It's like something is there in their face right there. And their job is they are war with this. This is the reality. They're like, oh, no. Everything. It's war, and their war is like, this is what because they like to say they are war. This is war. I don't want to see this. I don't, and it's like at this point it's like there. It's like, nope, I don't see it. I don't see it. Nope. I'm not. And this thing is like, it's getting closer to them, and they're like, nope, nope. We're protecting kids. Nope. And you know how they counter? No, you're gonna die in hell. And this is all the things they've done and what they're involved in. Oh, our hell. And this here is all these disturbing things they try to block out. You're gonna die. They're gonna fist you, and they hope that that's gonna stop this. It's like you're gonna be hooked. They're gonna cut you in pieces. All that. Most likely, I'm asking God to give me strength for the torture and the horrible things I'm going to experience, because these people have this here, and they think that whatever horrible thing is going to happen to me, that's going to stop. I'm never going to let them live that fantasy. This is always going to be like that. They will move on with this there. They'll move on walking with this here. So when the time comes and something happens to them, this thing that's attached them in their moment where time is time to go home, or you get a little sick, this will be here. It's not today. Today's still here, but you're just gonna block it out. Just that weird thing that you're feeling here. You're gonna have to find ways, live life as if this is not here. But when that moment comes, because we all go through, we're all gonna end up dying. Some of us are gonna die fast. Some of us are gonna be a slow death. So, but this, me, I don't have that. Even if I'm screaming, I'm crying, I'm like, this will never beat me. So I'm finding dignity in this. I'm thankful for God for I don't have this nasty thing attached to me that I'm trying to block out and counter by whatever means. And I didn't have to do these things. Now, whatever stupid, they try to exaggerate. The reason why I make videos is because I know there'll be a day I'll never be able to speak. And they're like, oh, we're gonna watch it. As if this is gonna stop. Oh, we're gonna watch you scream. And they walk around acting, oh, I mean, I can see this here, they're walking all like, I'm gonna be crippled. And you see this nastiness that attached to them. I'd rather be crippled. I'd rather be lame. They're having that nastiness because they don't know what's happening. They just know this is there. And they're like, crawl. I was like, I'd rather crawl because what you see what's on you there is something I'm so thankful I never have. And it's the cowardness, the nastiness, and all the shit that you guys have attached yourself to. From cowards and lowlife. Who are nobodies. I know this thing is there because they decided to be gods. And when they became God, boom, attach this, yeah, you got here. Which means now they even compromise. This true. Now they even more compromise. They can make them, hey, shut up and go kill this kid. So with this thing here, yeah, okay, go. Yeah, it's so intolerable. Shut up and don't even say Roy Moore. It's there. You better not fucking say Roy Moore. Say Rod Moore or something like that. The humiliation of reality. Now that's the choice of being God. Say Roy Moore real quick. You see, I'm provoking you. Target individuals, know that you're dignified. God give me strength to deal with all this horrible thing I'm expecting. But thank you. Thank you so much.
Occasion, I was told I was going to be shot in the face, and it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah.
Some of them are pretty crazy. They have names like Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, and those are the confusion tactics. And when they're breaking down the ego of the human through all the pains and tortures and the verbal breakdown, these are typical CIA torture scripts. I mean, Kubark manual. And they do good cop, bad cop interrogation called Jeff and Mutt, and they go right through the list, right? Just textbook. So whoever the handlers are on the other side of this synthetic telepathy, they're following the handbook perfectly.
2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites acknowledge viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
The CIA raping children and sexually assaulting children, and they're not being prosecuted? Where are you? Oh.
They'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
Washington, the Pentagon's top investigator yesterday vowed an all-out pursuit of any employees who downloaded child pornography, adding that his division would review the 1,700 potential cases that were referred to military investigators 4 years ago but were never screened. Gordon S. Hedel, the Department of Defense's Inspector General, said in a statement to the Globe that his office is working aggressively to correct the mishandling of cases identified in a multi-department government probe called Operation Flicker. I can assure those with questions that my office is conducting an aggressive pursuit of anyone implicated in Operation Flicker and that it is a key investigative priority, Hedel said in his first public statement on the matter. The Pentagon agency has faced intense criticism in recent months for its part of a nationwide child pornography investigation that was spearheaded by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, which has jurisdiction for such federal crimes under its mandate. The Globe reported earlier this week the Pentagon had checked only 3,500 out of 5,200 people who were suspected of downloading child pornography. The partial screening of that list, which was conducted in 2007, identified 302 people who were military personnel, civilian employees, or private contractors. Some of those held high-level security clearances and worked at sensitive intelligence agencies such as the National Security Agency, which eavesdrops on enemy communications. Several also accessed the images on their work computers, a separate violation. Out of the 302 cases, 70 were eventually pursued, and only a handful resulted in prosecutions.
So, you hear this?
I know I'm not changing. As I said, I feel like they've been set up a being where I feel constantly stimulated. I'm talking sexually, like a heat in my genitalia.
A speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic. And they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "Ow," while looking up at me.
And have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured. Recently, I lost complete time. I exhibited the flashing lights. My 9-year-old son Dylan complained about the lights. You will often hear that vision is something that is greatly affected with this type of torture.
So you...
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania.
This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today. There is new work for the Commission for Human Subject Protection on our shores. And please give us a dramatic response, Susan, and please give us a congressional hearing. Thank you.
Research. I too believe my experience is referred to as no-touch torture, utilizing defense technologies. Jonathan Marino, he basically predicted all this a number of years ago in his book Undue Risk. I'm asking you to help initiate a congressional investigation. We've all come a long way. This is what is needed. We want to have the accounts of this extreme human rights abuse that's going on in our country documented and heard, all of the accounts. We also need what was done during the Clinton administration, which is a major declassification of some of these documents that are hiding what's been going on. I speak for many when I say we've suffered long enough. My personal experience has been 10 years. I've been vilified. I've been ostracized. I've been tortured. I have burns on my body. I'm an American. I have rights. The answer to the question, the big question today, could it happen today? The answer is yes, it is happening today. It is happening for some of us every day. I am begging for you to help us. Thank you.
You mean as far as the Justice Department? Feeling me?
Well, in terms of your being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how
Sure.
you perceive yourself as being.
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, how do I know you didn't do that to yourself? How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations, not 1 but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both of my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of the...
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2976, but if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women.
And in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes. throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night.
First time that we've spoken out about it, only because I've been seeing a lot of other videos, and I think that it helps to talk about.
Which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture. And I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And I'm a victim of organized
We need
stalking,
this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment. And I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the US, in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, microwave torture,
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the targeting continues in New Zealand. I'm making this video in remembrance of Targeted Individual Day, our third annual Targeted Individual Day. And I'm asking that every honest-hearted human being open their eyes to a crime.
My name is Jeanette. I am 56 years old and I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a victim of covert electronic harassment and torture. I am a targeted individual.
Hello.
Why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. It's brutally painful. I have a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, first floor, second floor, 2 garage, backyard, land, everything. Can't live in my house. My neighbors are shooting direct energy weapons through my house. I hold my heart like this. You know why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. Come get me. Oh, Lord, because I think I'm dying. I'm making this video
in an attempt to expose this horrific nightmare.
Hello, I'm making this video to honor the 3rd annual Targeted Individual Day. That's August 29th, 2020. My name is Linda Marie Sharp in Mendocino County, California, United States. I am a targeted person and have been for over 12 years. I am electronically tortured by directed energy weapons.
Hi, my name is Lisa Davis, and I'm in Duluth, Minnesota.
This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal, or it can sort of turn off the
This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts, and images in imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
End my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know.
As malodorants. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted.
Human breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
They would never take my will, and since we all know how the psychopaths groups work with what the TI says or does, then they started during the nights to run some kind of beam where suddenly I've been wakened up at 3 o'clock in the mornings and some kind of voice comes and say phrases, sound incomprehensible and some other times can actually catch what is saying, ITS not my voice, a different voice, and I realize that they are trying to program for me to take it in a way that I won't notice a possible change in my behavior. Of course this is not new, because one main thing this program is out there, is called behavior modification for the undesirable, and that's one of the excuses this groups give for the neighbor TO join, deception. I learned to talk back, in my mind, during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things, that I cannot repeat it in this blog, you know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words in my mind. I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away. From me and my family. Then said this, the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS, so just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them I usually called demeaning names, and one of them is referring to homosexuals. For me all of the slaves are misfits, society haters, scumbags, etc. No, I don't have anything personal against them, homosexuals, but as my way to aggravate the slaves, and since they love to use children for the torture and stalking, street theater etc. Especially teenagers for the stalking at close range with an attitude, they are using them during my sleep in the perversion program, and so you can imagine what the slaves of torture are pretending to do to me. In the last days, as today September 9th, 07, anything I do, either watching TV or reading of whatever I'm doing, they brush me sort of say, I feel like I'm aroused all day and I feel the palpitations in my genitals for what I'm thinking, and since the attack comes so quickly, I realized my programming has been set on auto, in their central computers, no handlers could do something like this that quick. What make me realized, the slaves are desperate to get me. Unfortunately for them they are facing a strong wall where no matter how much their computers EAP me, I know I'm not changing. As I said, I feel like they've been set up a beam where I feel constantly stimulated. I'm talking sexually, like a heat in my genitalia.
shooting that occurred in Maine last week, killing 18 people, was the country's deadliest of the year. It may also have been one of the most avoidable.
And the documents show that these warnings concerned his deteriorating mental health, rising paranoia and anger, and they came from pretty much every part of his life. But as we now know, none of those warnings prevented this mass shooting.
Well, Nick, where should we start in the story of those warnings? You mentioned that they go back many months.
I mean, the first time when the local police are really made aware that this guy is a concern is about 5 months ago in May, when his ex-wife and teenage son go to a school resource officer, and the school resource officer calls down a sheriff's deputy to speak with the family. And in that interview, the teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. They also note he has collected about 10 to 15 guns that he kept at a relative's house and brought them back to his. So they're going to the police and saying that he has access to a large number of firearms. I mean, they were very worried about him, and I think what they also were struggling with is not understanding where to get him help and what kind of intervention might lead him to be more aggressive and more isolated.
So what's the response from the local police after the family has this conversation with them?
The deputy has this conversation with the ex-wife and the teenage son and seems to talk to them at length and learn a lot about Card's behavior and his career in the Army Reserves. He was in the Army Reserves for 20 plus years at that point. And the deputy and the ex-wife basically decide that the best place to get help is probably through the Army Reserve. Not understanding where to get him help. Relative's house and brought them back to his. So they're going to ex-wife and teenage son go to a school resource officer, and the school resource officer calls down a sheriff's deputy to speak with the family. And in that interview, the teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. The teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. The teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. Decide, I think, largely to leave it in the Army Reserve's hands.
So the police come up with a kind of informal solution to this problem, which is work with the Army Reserves.
I think that's right.
Okay, so what happens next?
So the next thing we know that happens is in July. Card travels with his reserve unit to West Point, New York for an annual training exercise, and there's a very concerning incident that takes place. They're all hanging out together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is one of his paranoid delusions that comes up repeatedly. He shoves one at one point, and everyone is just freaked. This is one of his takes place. They're all hanging out together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is one of his paranoid delusions that comes up repeatedly together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is one of his paranoid delusions that
So you hear this, as I'm saying that they try to mess with me, these common things you've heard before. Matter of fact, as I was recording this, they were trying to counter by making me remember things they made me experience, as this technology has the ability to manipulate.
Mentally unstable individual.
This shotgun is the primary murder weapon. On it, he etched a number of carvings, including "End to the Torment," "Better Off This Way," and "My ELF Weapon." Alexis had been hearing voices and believed he was being bombarded by microwaves, something naval authorities knew about.
There are multiple indicators that Alexis held a delusional belief that he was being controlled or influenced by extremely low frequency, or ELF, electromagnetic waves.
And in his computer files, the FBI found this.
A document retrieved from the electronic media stated, quote, "Ultra-low frequency attack is what I've been subject to for the last 3 months. And to be perfectly honest, that is what has driven me to this."
And so on what should have been a routine day, Alexis killed 12 people: mothers, fathers, sons, daughters.
Diane, they never had a chance, and still no answers as to why so many red flags were missed.
As you say, so many red flags. Thank you, Pierre.
Mentally unstable individual.
About his time spent here in New Mexico.
As sick as this may sound, I've even had stalkers follow me into church while I was in Las Cruces and in Houston. I've had stalkers follow me into church to harass me.
May had worked as a prosecutor in Las Cruces just weeks before the shooting. In his last words, May speaks of his paranoia and coins himself as a targeted individual who's been a victim of stalking and harassment. He talked about a trip to Houston where he said cars would drive by and honk their horns every 10 minutes to keep him on the edge and agitated.
Father, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Forgive me for all of my sins, past sins, present sins, any future sins.
About